Heyo, duckies and dice fiends, welcome on in. It is Tuesday, and that means it's time for the Table Talk Show. I am Kay. I'm one of your hosts. I don't think it's been announced yet, but I'm going to be playing in a one shot this Saturday. So stay tuned for that announcement. Yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got going on. David, who the heck is you, and what the heck is we doing here?
I am trying really hard not to rant about Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, that's a new one.
Right? Okay, listen. So, Kay and I went to a thing, and one of the songs that played at the thing was from Conan the Destroyer. Now, I'm pissed off because a dude who was there was like, I have a photographic memory for music. And it's like, for one, that's not a thing because you literally just forgot that you met me.
ATC.
And two, what do you mean you're a special snowflake because you're a musician and you recognized a song from a popular movie from 40 years ago? Anyway.
Thank you, the Lurking Rider, for the resub. 18 months.
Oh, wow. In the library. But the whole rant that I'm suppressing is my whole idea about Old Man Conan, and it's almost too late to make it because it would round out the anyway. Hi, I'm David, and this is the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how not to fall in love with your psychiatrist. How to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody could have a good time.
Maybe you were talking about that today. I'm going to have to check the VOD. I've had a very, very busy day. I had to check in with some people about a thing that I might have to be dealing with later. And then I had a job interview. So I am just all over the place today. I got the job interview request like, hey, can you hop on a call today at 3:30 at like noon? So it was a very quick, it's been a day, y'all. But I think it went really well. Even if it didn't, like, even if nothing pans out, it was a nice chat. It was one of those things where the people interviewing were like, you haven't signed an NDA. Oh, well, here's all the stuff we're doing. So we just got to just talk. But yes, Saturday at 4:30 Pacific, hey, thank you. I hope it went well. Saturday at 4:30, I will be playing a thing at a place. It's not announced yet, so I don't really want to say more than that. But so far, it looks like Weird Wilds War is going to be happening next Friday, the 29th. And then there's going to be a two-shot in my future, which also is not announced. So those will be coming soon. Also, I'm going to be all the marketing for all but two episodes are done. I have to do just a little bit more work. But September, the Emergency Power Podcast will return with season 4. And I am so freaking excited. I can't wait for y'all to see the adventure. And there will be more on that soon. I just realized we haven't done the season 3 recap, which was not my responsibility, but is now my responsibility because it has to happen. So, final season of Emergency Power is happening. Starfinder 1E actual play homebrew, where I play the worst person in the world. I don't know, I feel like you hate Kinley more than Soul, David.
Listen, Soul would be one of my scumbag friends. Soul would be the sort of person where they'd call me up and be like, hey, Dave, I'm at this bar, let's come hang out. And I'm like, is there beer there? And they're like, yeah, we got you. I'm like, is there food? And they're like, yeah, we got you. I'm like, listen, I'm not driving a car. Don't worry, we got your lift. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there. And then the whole time I'm like, please stop being rude to the waitress. Please stop hitting on everyone and everything that moves. please. Oh my God. The problem with Kinley is
Face on.
Kinley is wholesale unoffensive, except that I would strangle Kinley to death with my bare hands. Just, and it's like, you didn't do anything illegal, you didn't do anything wrong, but you still gotta go.
And all the ones good things happening. This is mostly aimed at case announcement. Feel free to slice celebrations if you have good things. Yes, please. If you've had, the world is terrible. If you've got celebrations, if you've got something to celebrate, to put it in chat. We want to cheer you on because we all need pats on the backs right now because Zoik Scoob, is it bleak out there?
And if you can responsibly do so, get yourself a little treat. Just a little treat. Like get yourself a French pastry that I cannot pronounce. You know, get that box of Twinkies. You know, maybe there's something you've been eyeing in the Etsy store and it's like $50 and you got $50. Now, don't jeopardize yourself, okay? Because some of us out here are broke, okay? Broke. But like, or even like, you know, donate to a charity. Give yourself that serotonin hit. Just do something nice for yourself or someone else.
The world is bleak and full of disappointments. Wait, that's not how that quote goes. Put in little things to celebrate. I did get creative this weekend, and I updated I added to the auto shoutout stuff. So there's new little sayings when cool people appear. My first VO audition landed me 4 roles, and the producer is happy with my work. Second audition, role 3. Went well, got some feedback from where to improve. That is awesome. Congrats, Rex. I know you'd been wanting to do that and had been like nervous to do so. A face on, my birthday is this week, and my friend flew in from the West Coast for the weekend to attend an early dinner celebration. He brought me Star Trek fanzine from the 1968 with a piece of short fanfic from my favorite living author, Louis McMaster Jold. I'm sure I said that wrong. That is awesome. And happy belated birthday, or early birthday, whichever one it is. My big brag, I got to go, David and I went to Labyrinth Ball. I got to go to Labyrinth with my best friend. David and I technically met at Labyrinth before we met. But then for various reasons, some of it being me being on the wrong coast for 3.5 years, we have never been to Labyrinth together once we knew each other. Bacchanalia, which is just, yes, that's awesome. So not only did I get to go to Labyrinth with my best friend, my GM from the UK home game detoured 2 days out of his way. He insisted it was to see other people in LA as well, but like came out here.
No, he came for K.
He came for K. There were like a couple other people they wanted to meet who were also at Labyrinth. They hung out with them for like 5 minutes, so it was to see me. So I am still digesting that act of kindness. Like, wow. But I got to take my awesome GM to Labyrinth, to his first Labyrinth Ball. And then I got to give him shit because he showed up in this really cool vampire, like, tailcoat with matching vest, like red tailcoat, black waistcoat that matched the lapels of the thing. It was gorgeous, but it looked just enough like a ringmaster's outfit that I got to be like, look at this. Look at the audacity of this motherfucker. Comes to my country, to my city, to my event that I've been going to since 2012 and shows up dressed like a ringmaster. That's some forever GM shit right there.
I also got to give him a hard time for being a British guy.
Yes, that was... I turn around, I leave David unattended for like 2 seconds. I turn around and I'm like, David, are you going on a rant about British food to British people for the second time this week? Yes, and I will not be stopped.
Immediately, like I shake hands and I'm like, okay, we got to talk about the mushy peas, okay? And then what's funny is, so they had to like leave to go do some last minute shopping before the actual event. And Kay's like, all right, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. And I was like, you're right. You have to go. Now, for my last point.
It's not going to stop. Face on, another recent win since life has been life and particularly brutal. My long-term D&D group had another long weekend trip where we rented a castle in New York and had already planned our next trip, and we get to stay at a treehouse. That is amazing.
That's cool.
That is great. I am so happy for you. Speaking of long-term D&D stuff, woo-wee, have I been in a few D&D or general TTRPG campaigns that went on months, if not years-long hiatuses.
Yeah.
First one, I didn't think was going to come back. It was an 8-month hiatus. I'm like, I've given up. This is never coming back. And then like a month after I went, this is never coming back, GM went, we need to start back up. Mentalomia. I went to a black queer kinky camp, did burlesque outside the class for the first time. I got compliments from seasoned dancers. Let's go. Hell yeah. And here Lurking Rider doesn't know what he's setting himself up for with the offer of letting David rant to him about that. And then, what was the date? Hold on. David ran a home game for us. Lizard. David ran a home game for us that we have just recently started back up. And I pulled out my notes for it. And here's the thing, I am a very thorough note taker, which is great because I got to say, hey, David, the last session we played was August 21st, 2022.
Yep, almost 3 years to the day.
So, I've had, both David and I, but especially I, have had a little bit of experience recently with reviving dead campaigns. And we want to talk about how to do that. Because look, sometimes, not all games, I would say very few campaigns revive after 3 years.
Yeah.
I'd say that's like a
I have not heard.
0.01% that do it after that long. But like even with my UK game, 8 months is a very long. A DC, when I came up with a way I want to label rooms, items, creatures on a TTRPG map. Nice. Sometimes those little details are the hardest. But then also, there's a lot to restarting a campaign. Not only figuring out, do people still want to play? Can they still play? Is there a time we can play? Because by that point, people have usually moved, scattered to the wind, etc. Are we still in the headspace to play the same characters? Do we even remember what was happening, GM?
Hey, listen, I got there eventually, thanks to the best note taker in all of TTRPGs.
But also, I've been part of campaigns that died and then were resurrected because, and in the process, completely changed format. Be it from video to podcast, be it from a streamed game to a home game. I've even been part of TTRPGs that when they came back, we went to a completely different system. We want to come up with some of that. Like, we want to talk about how do you navigate that? Because if we could figure out how to do it for a game that's been dead for 3 years.
Yeah.
We got some tips on how you can do it for a game that's been dead for a couple months. And let's be honest, sometimes even a couple weeks, you might need a session 0.2.
Yeah. And I think the first thing to cover is it's okay if campaigns die. Like, life happens and that shit's real. I think in our 3-year hiatus, you moved at least twice.
Technically 3 times, because I went from there to the Yeah, 3 times.
So yeah, 3 times, 2 or 3 jobs. Another member of the group moved different states. Another member got married and bought a house. Like 24 years, 3 months. Listen, the what happened last session conversation. So yeah. So like all sorts of like life shit happened. And there are different reasons for campaigns falling apart. Sometimes it's just like I said, life shit happens. You get a new job and you're suddenly not available at that time anymore. You lose someone close to you and then you just can't be in that space.
Member of the group decides to just throw a nuke into everything because they needed to be a special snowflake.
Yep.
And try to burn it all down on their way out. Or, in the case of my UK game, the channel that it was streamed on imploded. GM said, cool, I plan to write a custom system for this anyway. I'ma do that. Oops, I burnt myself out and I can't do anything TTRPG for a hot second.
And that's another thing. Like in our home game, we met almost every week for a year straight. And I'm pretty lucky that I didn't burn out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we took like a month off or something like that. And I was like, this is what it's like to like have a little breathing room and to actually like think about stuff. I distinctly remember feeling like, and not just a sense of relief, but an unexpected sense of relief of having that break. And so, yeah, so like there are tons of reasons why. And sometimes it could just be like the story wasn't good or the players didn't have any chemistry.
Yeah, something wasn't clicking. Yeah, Rex says
like,
the GM might have had some medical issues. Faison says the game as IGM usually end because of anxiety. Look, that's valid.
Mm-hmm.
That's so valid. It sucks and I'm sorry.
Yeah, and those are all good reasons for a campaign to stop. So like if your game died, value the time that you, and this is something I figured out about restaurants, because there was a Chinese restaurant near where I grew up that made Chinese food in a style that I have never encountered since. And for people who don't know the LA area, there is a big Chinese immigrant community in Arcadia and in a couple other places. And I've eaten all over those, and I still haven't found this particular style of Chinese food that was like
now
in
I'm hungry
the
again.
Right? And the reality is that these are all fleeting temporary experiences. So enjoy them while you can. Like McDonald's and Burger King and other places like that are consistent over years really skew our view of food. Like I've eaten things that I've eaten once and will never eat again. And they were amazing. And I still think about them. Like Kay's GM hadn't had horchata.
Yeah, we got to introduce my GM to horchata. And it was coconut horchata too. So just.
So if you've got a group of friends or you have a good table and you're playing and it's great and then it kind of falls apart, like value the time that you have. Because as much as we don't necessarily like to admit it, it is a fleeting, temporary experience.
There is. I've definitely been part of one-shots where everyone went, we got to keep the story going. I was part of a one-shot that was supposed to be an introductory one-shot so that we could continue the thing, and every single one of us looked at each other and went, This isn't for us. This isn't right. There's also something to be said for the story has run its course. and we don't need to keep it going. And one really good reason that a game couldn't, shouldn't, or might not restart after a long hiatus is people change and grow. And sometimes there is a character that I made multiple I have printed comics of this character, and I've never finished telling the story. But I'm not the person I was when I started writing that story, and it's not a story I need to tell anymore. And like, so I could take that character and bring them to TTRPGs, but I don't need to. I don't want to. Sometimes the story you were telling or the character you were playing just isn't what you need anymore. GM, I have no memory of this place. Players, you're the GM. You literally created it. GM Gandalfim. I don't need to be talked to like this. Also, Aragon, you're one to talk. You didn't even know about second breakfast.
Right.
Thank you for hanging out, Ribbonanza. So yeah, like, there are many reasons that maybe a game shouldn't continue. Maybe as a GM, look, the number of first-time GMs who got too ambitious and had to abandon a game, a story, an idea because it was like, this is too much. David sent me the best TikTok that's like, I'm a GM and like I don't know if I'm the boss or they're the boss. All I know is they're my boss and I have no union representation, like, and a lot of spreadsheets. And like, I know I'm the boss because if I don't show up, no one plays, but also they're my boss.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just too much.
Yeah. But if you're going to bring a game back from the dead, the first step is to be as cool as I am to get everybody back. No. The first step is like, and I'm really lucky because I am friends with all of my players. And so I talk to them outside of the game. And so I got to keep track of people's lives when we weren't playing. And then one day I woke up and I was like, wait a second. This person kind of has weekends free, and this person kind of has weekends free, and this person and I know Kay is down to clown. And so I reached out to everybody, like, hey, do you wanna? And everybody, and fortunately for me, everybody was like, yeah. And I was like, good, we're doing it on this day. Get in here. And so it's really contingent, and it would have been okay if one or multiple people were like, you know what, we did it, and that was great, and I like you guys, but I don't want to do it. That would have been fine. That would have been fun. But yeah, so like the first part is getting lucky. Like you got to get lucky that all your players want to come back. You got to get lucky that the band wants to come back together. Because, you know, if you have like two people date and then they had a nasty breakup, that game's donezo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you got to figure out the session 2.0 or session 0.2 because you got to figure out, what do we remember? Yeah. What do we not remember? What are we still vibing with? Are we moving to 5.5? Do you want to keep the same characters? Do you want this to be as sandboxy as it was, or do you want something more linear?
A question I always ask at the beginning of a session is, what do you remember happening in the last session? Because, for one, I've had a group of people come back after like a 2-week hiatus and was like, oh yeah, such and such happened, and then we did this, this, and this. And in my head, I'm like, ain't none of that shit happen. Not one of them motherfuckers. But you know what? That's what you remember. Now. So that's what we're going with. That's what history says. And it was really heartening to have that sort of like 0.5 session, because like we got some gameplay, but the first like 2 hours was us going, oh, remember when this happened? Remember this character? Remember that horse? And now to be clear, Kay takes excellent notes. I have
This was even
taken
before I'd
precisely,
refined my note-taking skills, though.
yeah, but still, you took really great notes, and I have taken a note 3 times in my life, including one line of blueprints.
By the way, he took that note by putting in a chat window to me.
Look, sometimes the most convenient thing is to be like, here, Kay, hold this. But even with Kay's excellent note taking and my impeccable memory, even though I didn't remember a whole lot of things, different people remembered different things and different people took different notes. And so, one, you get to see what was important to each of the players. So Kay is like, I have this note for gelatin. I don't know what gelatin is. And I'm like, I definitely don't know what the fuck gelatin is.
I'm like, gelatin bit me and spoke in deep speech and then looked apologetic. The fuck does that mean?
Right. And I literally sat there, and because like Kay and I sat down on a Friday night to cover their notes. And the game was on the following Sunday. And I spent 2 days being like, what the fuck is gelatin? Gelatin was a horse, and it was named Gelatin by one of the other players. And that player was like, oh yeah, my buddy Gelatin. What happened to Gelatin? And I'm like, oh, that's what, and because that horse was important to that player. And the other thing that really meant a lot to me is I'm working on a number of modules for the thing that Kay and I are working on. And one of the things that I'm trying to avoid is doing stuff that's very samey, because there's obviously stuff that I want to avoid, whether it's sexual assault or slavery, and there are also like touchstones that I always circle back to, which is like, there's going to be a dead orphan somewhere. Okay, like some kid is going to get real unlucky, and so a lot of the big highlights that I remember from the game were things that were coming up as ideas for new modules. And I'm like, I really feel like I'm stuck in a rut. Was I really this boring? And in my discussion with the players, they told me about so many things that I had forgotten about, and so many threads and story beats that that I just didn't remember. Like, we have a channel where I write whenever they encounter a character that's important enough to have a first and last name. I write it down and I write a little like, oh, this is the blacksmith, this is the barkeep, whoever. Would I tell you that we have like 50 characters, like 50 NPCs in this fucking game? Just so many people. And one of my concerns was like, do I really just use like my 2 favorite NPCs as like the hub for everything? And the answer is no. Like he's pretty diverse. And so it was really heartening to hear about all the things that transpired that I had forgotten about, all the interesting things that each of the characters were both doing and interested in, and that it was a much bigger tapestry of a game than I remember.
Matt says, we are often much harder on ourselves as GMs than the players about the amazing ventures they're on, which is true. I'm also going to scroll up because this is Lurking Rider. Gelatin bit me and spoke in deep speech. Sounds like you were in a bit of a jam. But I love this. This is such a cute, complete bring it back. Lurking Rider is like how to resurrect a campaign. Step 1, hire a reputable necromancer. Make sure you're aware of their portfolio. Check Crypt X entry to make sure they're not too high a level for you. Step 2, I didn't think this far ahead. The metaphor got away from me. Matt replies, Mix and Misfits. Step 2, offer the necromancer the bones of a derelict campaign to expand their collection. And then Lurking Rider, addendum. Make sure to show appreciation to friends who have useful advice that can get you back on track. Case in point, thank you, Matt. Teamwork, it makes the dream work.
Yeah, so that first session back, that 0.5, and another thing that we covered is I was like, okay, like there are all these hanging story threads, there are all these things that were available and y'all had. Do you want to still like wander around and do stuff, or do you want to have like a more focused, march towards the end game sort of thing? And they're like, we're fine doing what we're doing. But it gave an opportunity for me to check in with the players and be like, are you having a good time? Are you enjoying this? Do you want to do something different? Like what's
So one of the games, the game that was 8-month hiatus, again, it was a stream game. Channel exploded. I don't think you're ready for this jelly. 10. I need to add a Picard facepalm redeem just so you can.
Yeah.
So the UK game that I was in, died for 8 months because the channel exploded. GM burned out. We came back. He was like, look, I don't want to go through the work of building a whole new channel. I don't want to go through the work of figuring out a channel that will all... Do you want to just play it as a home game? Right? It was 2 groups. It was this complicated thing of it was like it was the same campaign, same setting. Group A was being chased by Group B. We played on different nights. We weren't allowed to watch the other stream. And GM was like, because if we do this, I'm just going to like smash everything together. Right? I got to figure out, you got to give me like a week to figure out how to smash the 2 groups together. And then we can just play. We can just go. Which we were all down for. And it was great. And, we went to a different system. So helped us rebuild our characters. Helped us, get things a little bit closer. The characters, the world, the character abilities a little bit closer to his vision. So it was great. It was this wonderful kind of like, okay, getting back into the shoes of our characters, figuring it back out, reconnecting with the people and the characters we played with before and getting ready to meet this other group. And now we're talking about bringing it back. There's a talk of, do we want to make this streamed again? So I want to talk about changing formats. Because, we can changing formats change a lot about. And this is true for any game, even if it hasn't been streamed, even if it hasn't been on hiatus. Going from a home game to a podcast, from a home game to a stream game to a home game. It's very different. Because the energy of a stream game or podcast game into a home game, I would say, y'all can, I want to hear if y'all feel differently. I feel like the energy of a podcast game is closer to a home game. Simply because you can take the time to shoot the shit and chit chat and get distracted and do all that because it can just be cut out. Whereas a stream game, you're on. You're on and you're on at any time that you are not playing. You are eating up time without providing... maybe you're providing interesting content out of character, chit-chatting as people, but people are there for the story. So advance it. I've said before, I really tend to enjoy, in the weirdest way, I tend to enjoy podcast and or stream games more because people tend to be more focused and they tend to bring a performance, an A game, a focus that often is not there in home games. But also, man, sitting around with your friends, talking about the ridiculous stuff that you just did and how that relates to your actual life, right? Things that have happened recently is also really fun.
Kay and I are running a test game for the thing that we're working, and we had a 3-hour session scheduled, and it ballooned to 6 hours. And I want to say 5.5 of those hours were all roleplay. And to be clear, it was great. Like, it was fantastic. And after, when Kay and I were talking about like a couple of story beats, I was like, okay, so I want to change this and I want to change that, and I will put this in to make things move faster. But we also recognized how dramatically different it would be on stream. Like, there'd be a lot less RP. We took like a 20-minute break in the middle. No, we took like 2 20-minute breaks.
Yeah.
And like that wouldn't have been a thing. There would have been a lot more like reining in and like getting focused. Because when you're performing for an audience, like it's a performance. It's not for each other. It's for each other and for the people who are watching. And so you got to give them something too. And when I ran the one shot for Kay's birthday, there was a solid like hour-long detour where Kay and a mutual friend of ours just went in about people from a previous workplace. And they're like, no, this is important. We got to shit on these dudes right now. And I was there for it. And if you're doing like a podcast or even a recorded stream or a pre-recorded stream, you will cut that stuff out. Like, that stuff hits the cutting room floor, and you can release it as a bonus content, or like loop it in with like your interviews or whatever, but it's not the main crux of what you do. And so I'm gonna say something a little spicy. Not everyone who plays TTRPGs should be in front of a camera. Ooh-wee. Have I seen some motherfuckers where I'm like, watching you play this game is like watching paint dry. Is ooh, yeah. And that's fine, but don't expect me to sit there and watch it because it has to be entertaining. And I'd argue the number one thing about being good for the camera is you have to be focused on telling the story. Like, you have to be focused on everybody rowing in the same direction. And the second you're not, then you get your detours, then you get your meandering, then you get people not paying attention, and then you don't have viewers anymore. But if you are someone that isn't necessarily meant to be in front of camera, that doesn't mean you can't perform. Just make a podcast, because you can cut out all the meandering. And there are tons and tons of people. There's actually a podcast I listen to far less frequently now, because I don't do dishes since I got out of the hospital, which I really need to get back to, but legs.
This is not the hospital, just for clarification.
Oh yeah. Oh God, no, never again. No, let me die 45 years from now in my sleep. Ugh. But I'm listening to this podcast, and the dude is seriously compelling. I have no idea what he looks like. He could look like a Ford Taurus. It wouldn't matter. Like, he could look like a Buick. He could look like a Buick fucked a Taurus. It wouldn't matter. Because he's charismatic. He has really great vocabulary. And he's an interesting guy who's done interesting things and who's talking about interesting things. And so, like, you don't have to be as good looking as Kay in order to be it. You, but there have been great performers that look like thumbs. But all you got to do is be able to row. And again, if you can't, then do a podcast. There's nothing wrong with doing a podcast. And in fact, we know a lot of people in the space that have more success with their podcast than they do with their stream games.
I really enjoy a live stream game. But y'all, there's something great about a podcast where you're like, let me retake that line. I said that wrong. Let me retake that line. That is such a good freedom. Lurking Writer, going to answer your question, but I want to hit one more thing before we detour off of this, because I want to talk about, there's one really important thing about changing formats. And it's not just performance, a little bit related to performance, but different formats give you different restrictions and different freedoms. And often not even in the way you might expect. I'm just also shouting it out so I don't forget to answer it. I don't get on this tangent and then forget. When I was playing this game on stream, yeah, the character was still the character, and I had certain themes that I was running with them. And the minute it was no longer a streamed game, the minute it was a home game, I leaned into some of those themes a lot harder. And another player started playing. We've talked about the home game that just resurrected with David. I play a character who is the equivalent of a mixed race, right? Because David was like, there's going to be like fantasy racism here. You're going to deal with it. You're going to learn about it. I would never play that kind of a character on a stream, because that's not the place to be learning that shit, right? And also, it was done with a GM of color who said, like, yeah, it's cool that you're white. I'm going to teach you this if you do this, right? One of the players is playing. He's a cis dude, and he's playing a chick now, and he's like, I would never play a femme on stream because
God, me either. Never.
Yeah, he's
God,
like,
never.
I'm afraid. Like, I really enjoy playing this character. I really enjoy all of the things I get to do as a woman in this world. But I also know that I'm a guy. So everyone's going to be like, there's going to be an assumption of this is what people expect. This is what people are going to think. This is how I expect women to be. That's not all the case. But you can't control the thoughts and assumptions of people you've never met. And so as we're kind of talking about, I'm like, if we take this game back to streamed, I'm going to have to pull back on some of these themes that I've leaned into with this character. It's not going to change who the character is, but like, I'm going to have to not lean into them as much, because a lot of this is very, very personal, and I feel safe exploring it with this group of people, but not with the great wild unknown out there. I don't need that smoke. So that's a little bit to think about of like, yeah, again, I really enjoyed playing the character on stream. The minute it was off, I went harder into it, even though it wasn't a performance, because of the freedoms that gave it. So if you're changing format, and again, like if you're changing systems, if you go from we went from a pretty high magic system to a very low magic system. And so that made me recalculate some of my character. Right? Because I was the one magic user in the group. And suddenly I went from having like 20 spells to having 3. And you gotta recap, and how is that going to impact your characters? So think about those kinds of things if you're looking at changing formats or changing systems when you restart it. Rex says World Beyond's number is incredible, not only for storytelling, but for the sound and music, which they could not do on stream. Exactly. Matt, Mimics and Misfits, thank you so much for the resub. 15 months. So very grateful. DC says I get such a show mode approach. Live show or podcast. We have 2 hours of retort time. Go. Home games. I've got 3 hours of stuff, and that's enough of a session for me. Usually winds up being about 4 hours. Yeah, home games always seem to go long. Always seem to go wrong. Yeah, I listened to a good chunk of Worlds Beyond Number, and they do really beautiful stuff with their design, their audio design. David, any other thoughts about formats, changing format systems, etc., before I jump onto Lurking Rider, because it's a great question.
Just keep in mind that if you're switching systems, be prepared to rebuild characters from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And in conversations I've had with multiple people who are players, there are some people that either take the approach of I build my character, or I build the mechanics of the character and then build the personality based on that. Or I have an idea for a character and then I see a mechanic in the game and that fundamentally switches an approach I have for my character. And you have to be open to that happening again when you switch systems, because different systems have different rules and different feats and all that stuff. And there was another point I was going to make. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. When we switch systems.
Yes. So with Kay, they explored things with their character off stream that they wouldn't necessarily do on stream. And just like, we have a player who is a guy playing a girl, wouldn't do it on stream. There are NPCs that I've made that I wouldn't bring to a stream, not because they're problematic at all. Listen, all of my problematic characters, you are going to see it, but because there was either something like very personal about them with me, or something personal with someone I know. Like for instance, one of my rules when I'm writing is I never name a character who has the same name of somebody I know in real life. So like, I know Kay. You will never see any short story, book, screenplay, comic book, etc. with a character named Kay, because I know it. The last thing I want is someone who has that name to read the character and think that this is my impression of them, or that they influence the character. It's like, no, this is 100% not you. And that doesn't mean that I don't take elements of people that I know and put them into characters, because I absolutely do that. Like, I'd argue one of my favorite 2 NPCs is based off my writing partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get permission from her to do so. And I've also gotten a lot of input on her on how like she'd react to things and what she would think about things.
Mm-hmm. Also, hello, Laria.
Yes. But yeah, there are certain NPCs that you won't see in a streamed game, because there is an element of there's just something that's not for the public about them.
Yeah. And again, some people love playing a home game and don't want to have to be on stream. So talk to the group. And people who were previously 100% on board and okay with playing on stream might not want to do it with that particular thing. So just keep that in mind. Okay. We're going to twist to Lurking Rider's question, which I think is excellent, and I think you'll enjoy this one, David. How would the 2 of you decide a dead campaign is beyond the point of resurrection, or do you think it's possible to still salvage something even if all that's left is the ashes and cryptic scribblings?
So, in resurrecting our home game, one of the things I talked to Kay about is, okay, we're gonna recap what happened before. We're gonna see if everybody's like happy moving forward. I did not ask to speak to Gemini. Fuck.
Disable that. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's Trixie. I'll show you how.
But one of the things I was like, if we want a hard reset, like if we want we did all this stuff, it was fine, let's do something new, or we don't remember shit, so let's just move forward. Like I had a plan B of doing a hard reset and then like moving forward. And I'd argue the most essential and the only real important thing about resurrecting a dead campaign is everybody on board? Does everybody want to do it? And if everybody wants to, then you could do it. And if not, then it's not a thing. And I think it's a little, as someone who has built an entire world, run 3 sessions, and then the group fell apart. I understand the yearning to be able to like use all that work, but if you ask me, if you have like, you know, a group of 5 people and one person doesn't want to play anymore, and they haven't made it very clear that, you know, it's okay, just go on without me, and like the group kind of like falls apart, and then you get back together a couple months later, maybe do a new setting, maybe do new characters, maybe do new storylines, like cook up some new stuff. Because I wouldn't say it's a betrayal, but I'd argue it's not really honoring the memory of like what you accomplished before if you're just recycling that world, or like, you know, pressing on without like 3 or 4 of that people.
Yeah. If everyone's on board, or if like one person is like, y'all, it didn't vibe with me, or like, I have someone who desperately wants me to play in their game, but we just don't like the same kind of games. And they have been nagging me for years. Kindly nagging me, like, come on. And they just started in on, I'm running a steampunk game. And I'm going to be honest, like steampunk, I've played some steampunk games, and I would play a steampunk game for the right table, but like, steampunk doesn't excite me the way it does a lot of people. So if I hop into a steampunk game and I'm like, not resonating, and it's nothing to do with any of y'all, it's just the setting and kind of the tone of it isn't really grabbing me. If all but one person are on board and one person is like, Godspeed, go do it, you know, yeah, find a nice, honorable way to write that character out. Even work with the former player and be like, hey, is there anything you would like for your character to have accomplished? Is there anything you would like for them to be doing or not doing? I do think, however, like if you've put together a world and stuff fell apart, I mean, look, I'm one half of the writers of the God Plane, and the God Plane is literally a story that's meant to be told time and time again, because it is not the system and it's not the setting. It is the characters and the players that make the thing. So if you're just like, you know what, chuck all that. You know, maybe one player was like, this was my favorite setting. You know, it's a whole new group. Can I please play through this setting? Can I please bring in a different character and just like be back in this world, in this setting, because I love it. And I understand we might retread a couple plot points, but like, I'm willing to get over that. I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with, I have this setting, I have a whole new set of players. I'm going to tailor the world to the characters and the players and what they want within it. Like, I think that's great and awesome, because you as a GM are going to have a whole other experience. But yeah, it feels bad if it's like half the players are coming back, half of them are not, and the half that aren't are like, like really sad about it. It doesn't feel good. So again, I think I feel like everything we do on this channel comes back to communication. Like,
Yeah.
talk to people. Because again, one of the games I play in is Ride or Die, is what I call it, right? We play this day at this time if the GM is available. If the GM is available, we are playing. And if you can't make that session, sorry. We will catch you up on what happened. Your character will not die. We'll see you the next session. And for some people, that's unacceptable, right? For some people, they can't do that. But for this group, it's like, we signed up for this. We know we're all in agreement, all on the same page. Cool. I love that because I'm pretty ride or die. And if I can't make it, yeah, I want other people to be able to play and have fun. Kay and David, every time. What if y'all just like talk to your friends? Exactly. Just open your mouth and say how you're feeling, and try hard to say it nice. You know, make the shit sandwich.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
you know, I've sat down with a GM and gone like, okay, look, I love your game. I love your world. I'm having a really hard time with this thing. And I am so sorry that I'm coming to you with all of this, but like, it's because I care so much. So can you just let me know that I'm okay, we're okay, how this is going to play out, because I'm only freaking out like this because I care so much.
And look, if someone is coming to you and they have a problem with something that you're doing, that's because they want you to fix it so that they can continue knowing you. Because when I tell you the number of people, so like I mentioned how like Soul would be one of my like scumbag friends. The difference between like my scumbag friends and like my real friends is my scumbag friends, I don't care about them at all. Like, they're kind of shitty people. And like, they're fun to grab a beer with. Like, you could have some laughs and watch some hockey. But like, I'm not inviting them to like my wedding. Like, I wouldn't have brought them to Labyrinth with I wouldn't introduce them to Kay. Like, hell no. Like, you'll get to like know, these motherfuckers did not know where I lived. I'd be like, look, pick me up in this parking lot. And they're like, why can't I just pick you up from my house? Shut up. You want me to come or no? I owe you an explanation. But if somebody's like, hey, I'm really not cool with the way you spoke to so-and-so, that means they're trying, because with every one of my scumbag friends, the other big difference is our relationship is on a clock. That timer is ticking down. And the second you do something that crosses that line, I finish my drink, I get up, I walk out of there, and you never hear from me again. There are like 20 people over the past like 15 years where I'm like, oh well, too bad. You don't get to know me anymore because you're a jerk. Did I talk to them about what they did? Absolutely not. Because I already knew that they weren't the sort of people that could like hear something about them and like process it and be like, oh, well, I fucked up. And like, I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and they're having a problem with someone they're seeing because the dude focuses entirely on like whatever micro issue that they have a problem with, instead of being like, hey, I get that you didn't feel heard when we talked about this. So what can I do to make you feel heard? And instead it's just like, well, I'm sorry you think I was wrong, but I was right actually. And it's like, it's not one, it's not an apology, and two, you were making zero effort to like fix anything. And I asked him, I'm like, why do you bother with this guy? Because again, like, for one, men, dime a dozen. Go outside, throw a rock, you'll hit one. Go to a sporting event. I'm sure you could find a man. I guarantee you could find a man. Go to a barbershop, throw a rock. And if you hit the guy with the rock and he doesn't complain, take him home. Lock him in the basement. In my
Don't throw a sandwich though. That's
yeah.
illegal.
Oh no, that's a felony. You can't throw a sandwich.
Scumbag friends, arrow to acquaintances, temporary / quest only companions.
Right.
Yeah.
Um.
All of this has happened before, and it will happen again, says Lurking Writer, but not necessarily in the same way, and that's okay. That's the thing. We talk about every story's been told. Whatever you're doing is not original, but that doesn't mean it's not worth telling, because you have a perspective and an understanding that no one else does. Because you are a special snowflake, affectionately, not derogatively.
And the fun thing about snowflakes is they're not all unique. It's like, I think it was like 2 out of like 300 million or exact duplicates.
Yeah.
And there's a photographer that had a whole art installation where he went around photographing people who looked extremely similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so you have a twin that you're not related to at all. And he has pictures of these people who look like the same person.
I'm going to make you watch at least a part of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver of this past week, because they talk about the Make America Healthy movement again. And one of the guys leading it, like, there's a big moment of reveal of he looks freaky. His sister looks freakishly like his wife. Like, disturbingly.
Yeah.
It's wild. Watch Last Week Tonight, y'all. It's a great show. We approve of John Oliver. Mostly because it really pisses off MAGA people that there is a guy with a British accent critiquing America.
And also, their research is so good. Like, I haven't seen research like that on a TV program since like old school Dateline.
Shirley says, I've walked away from a friend group because of a former friend who, unfortunately, I brought in, decided that racist jokes were okay and started crying. I was mean when I had a problem with it. For months, I heard about how that person was still a problem until I finally burnt that bridge. I'm not going to make choices for others, but refusing to make a choice is a choice. Yeah. And like, I had a game that almost fell apart because one person decided, oh, these people have supported me for 20 years. Now that I feel a little bit different about myself, I have to be the victim. We had to decide, are we ever going to, are we going to continue this, right? Or is this a dead campaign, right? Can we continue this without this? Do we want to continue this without it? And that's a little bit of the question you also have to ask yourself. Is like, even if you're sitting there and you've had this campaign, it's been dead for 2 years, you're going to resurrect it. You've got 3 of the 5 people on board. The 2 people who are not on board are like, hey, I can't, but you've got my blessing, keep going. The GM and the 3 remaining people have to look at each other and go, do we want to keep going? And do we want to keep going with this smaller group, or do we want to bring in other people? Because the addition or loss of even a single person can radically change a group and a party's dynamic. Yeah. And the GM then has to also rebalance all the combat and everything they had planned for extra or fewer characters.
Y'all, combat design is so hard. Like,
that's why I make David do it.
Because the higher up you get, so like designing a combat encounter. Well, okay, so like different levels present different challenges. Level 1, the problem is hitting them too hard, because if you miss one round, and if the enemy hits twice in a round, then your wizard is dead.
Mm-hmm. And that's if the level 1 party members can even hit.
Right. But the higher up you get, the more tools the different classes have. And so the ability of them to break your encounter goes up dramatically. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, about half of the encounters I've ever made have been broken by a brilliant player, ooh, do I want to fucking get him. Including Kay. Ugh.
I've never done that.
But also when it comes to resurrecting a campaign, whether you are a GM or a player, be willing to do the work, because it isn't just a matter of planning the next session. And in a lot of cases, it's not even just a matter of tracing back your steps and going, okay, this is what we were doing, so we're just going to keep going. When when I got everybody's okay, I immediately thought about where I remembered we were at. I dug up old notes. And I went, okay, here is where we were. Except I've learned these things about storytelling. I've learned these things about TTRPGs. I've changed over time. And it caused a shift in how I approached all the different storylines. And then obviously when everybody else chimed in with their experiences and their remembrances, that also shifted things. So like you got to be willing to do the work before that first session, and you got to be willing to do that shit on the fly. Like if you're not a decent improviser, just do a hard reset. Just be like, you went to sleep, you woke up, it was 6 months later, you're all starving, and the big bad has taken over the world. Go get him. Like, just do that.
There's someone very clearly evil standing over you cackling, and then they run away cackling.
Right. And they've got your shit in their hands. You're like, God damn it, I need that back. Because even with the sort of like reconfiguring, I came up with 4 separate storylines on the fly that I'm like laying the track as the train is going.
Mm-hmm.
And as a player, that's also true because, you know, a lot of people put a lot of themselves into their characters. And if you grow or even grow out of some of the things that you were working through, then your character is going to feel different to slip back into. And, you know, you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be willing to do the work on either getting back into your character or updating your character or having the courage to say, this character's done, I'm starting anew.
Sometimes you don't know that until you're in them, right? I started playing this character who's like very timid and I'm like, I don't mind playing timid, but is this going to feel like the space I'm in right now in my own head? Is this going to, and I started playing and I'm like, nope, we're good. We're right back. We're back. We're good. Lurky Writer said, I've been watching Last Week Tonight via YouTube, currently up to season 3, episode 2, slowly making its way towards ... 2016. I do not look forward to seeing the gradual death of hope in John Oliver's eyes. He never had hope in his eyes.
Right.
Let's be honest. We love the man, but he never did. Rex says, I once used Vortex Warp to shift the big bad under the path of a pirate ship that was about to run aground. It was a fast end to a final encounter.
Yeah, and just like polymorph.
I broke a final encounter to the point where the GM's like, wait, I failed it. Do I get to save every turn? And I'm like, no. And the GM's like, just for the story, I'm gonna make it. They're not polymorphed anymore. Okay, are you okay with that? I'm like, yes, that's fine. Zycram, thank you for the resub. 63 months.
Yo, that is a time. That is a stretch.
Dude, that is ridiculous. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, never break an encounter? No, I didn't break Matt's entire
5
module
years.
with a 3rd level spell. Who needs breaks? I'm proud of that one. I'm proud of that shout out. So, I forgot where we were going. We were on a thing, and then I hope.
Oh, you were
Hope
talking
looks
about
different
your
on British
character.
Yeah, like slipping back to character, figuring out like, is this going to work? And then also, yeah, again, like adjusting gameplay, adjusting thoughts based on what you like. In this wasn't a reset, but like one of the things that's awesome about David is Matt did the thing. It can't be 10 years. I can calculate it, but I need the calculator.
It's 5 years, 3 months. Yes, I did break out a calculator to do that. because the teachers told us we wouldn't be walking around with calculators on us. And I'm sitting here in front of two.
Wrong.
I got one on my computer. I got one on my phone.
How long Dempsey got the sub button? Yeah, like Zycram was like my first subscriber, I do believe, back when I hit affiliate on my birthday streaming Animal Crossing. Wild times. So thank you again. So one thing, and this is a slight aside, but like this was not in, it was kind of in a reset because it's in a reset of the setting, not a reset of the game or group though. We were in a space and we were trying to figure out where to go. And I'm like, I do this check. Do I feel, we're like in a cave and I'm like, do I feel breeze? Do I hear this? Do I hear anything? And David's like, nope. And we're like, okay. And so we start going from tunnel to tunnel. And we think we follow the clues down the big tunnel. And we were supposed to go down the big tunnel. And we're like trying to get out of the space without making too much noise because there's piles of dead bones everywhere. And we're just like, whatever smoke is here, we don't want it. And like, David was like, messaged me and is like, when I write up this module, right, remind me to put like blood smear, right? Make an obvious trail. And I'm like, or just like, give us the way, like we've got nature kids here, right? Give us the way the wind is blowing. And the next thing I know, David's like, someone make a nature check. Yeah, you feel a breeze that wasn't there before. And we go right where we needed to be, right? So adjusting on the fly, being open to that, because as soon as we had that information, we went where we needed to go. But we were making so much work for ourselves and David until then. Both ourselves and for David.
Which is fine. I don't mind doing it.
At very fun moments of a character who was feigning interest to try and impress someone, then having to go and examine different layers of rock as if they actually knew what they were doing. Oh no, I can't be caught doing the thing I was doing. K-Bricks encounters the way you break video games. Game settings, I presume.
Yeah.
Look, there was a 3rd level spell. And we were in outer space. And 1 3rd level spell and your entire party no longer needs air.
Right.
Which really breaks a falling apart space station game.
I was a player playing with Kay, and we're in the Feywild. And we're away from anywhere safe because Feywild. And one of the casters was like out of spells, and then like the paladin was like out of healing. And the GM is just like, tee, your resources are depleted. Now I get to fuck you. And then Kay is like, and a giant building, a giant hut.
Dome.
And what's the name of the spell?
Leoman's Tiny Hut.
Right. It's like, hut pops up. Everybody go inside. We're good now. Long rest.
Yeah, no one can get through.
And the look on the GM's face, I was just like, I feel your pain. I know, like me as a player, I'm very happy about, but I know exactly how it feels to be like, I've got you. And then Kay is like, bitch, no, you don't. Quit playing.
I've usually got a little back pocket thing. If I don't have a little back pocket thing, then I've got so GM, here's some bullshit, and I'm really convincing. And you can say no. But you're gonna have to say no after I give you a whole argument about why this should work.
Yep.
I didn't break a gamer setting, but I once broke a cast on stream. I broke Matt's setting, and then that same game, I broke Matt because I went, wait, you said my character does this when they come with Android, when they are booted up. This other android said that, which either means I'm not the original or I was copied without my knowledge or permission. And that's like, I gotta go to break. I gotta think about it. Sorry, Matt. I do often try to be a menace, but I seem to do my worst when I'm actively not trying to be a menace, when I'm just trying to follow the plot. I came into full theory I hadn't considered. It was not mentally prepped to compute. Yeah. Oh, David, I forgot to show my GM the physical conspiracy board while he was here.
Oh,
Because it's still saran wrapped
sucks.
in my closet.
Yep.
It's okay. It's so dated now. It's so dated.
I know,
I do
but
need to look
still.
and see what I got right.
Right?
Because all that plot's been revealed. Anyhow, chat, any other questions / thoughts, comments, things you want to share or ask about restarting a Long Dead campaign? Lurking Rider, settings, Subnautical Adventure, me. Is there a full cargo hold on the ship, or would that make it a deck of many things? Cast,
my God.
oh my gods, walks off camera, hysterical laugher, DM. That's in the world now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke David with asking, like, hey, is the bag of holding refrigerated? No, that would be a bag of colding.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, have water. Water is a good call. Also, don't forget, you don't just have to smash the water button. You can also smash the lizard button.
Yes. Lizard.
And thank you again,
the,
Matt,
the
for giving us
number
that
of
reading.
times that I've wandered around in the middle of the night trying to shuffle my way to the bathroom, the whole time I'm going, lizard.
Lizard.
Yeah. Oh, so, and one other like little note is ways to prevent your campaign from falling apart.
Yes.
And I have there are three things. One, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, but don't schedule your sessions too frequently. Because this is something that we haven't like personally encountered because we haven't done a long campaign, but it's something that we're trying to avoid, is getting players to sign up for like a 6-month long every week stream is tough, especially if there are people who don't know each other or haven't played together. Like, but just getting somebody to be in a chair at the same time on the same day every week is really tough because life happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like I keep track of Ren Fair season for different players because I know that they're going to take at least one weekend to go to Ren Fair.
If the bag nags you for your bad decisions, it's a bag of scolding. If the bag only produces gelatin desserts, it's a bag of molding.
Oh. What if it's a bag that ferments? Is that also a bag of molding?
I also, this is a slight detraction, but while we're on it, one of my favorite items, like homebrew items that I desperately want to put in a game just to torture the right person, is a secondhand bag of holding, which is exactly like a bag of holding, except anything you put in it comes out covered in a little bit of glitter.
Listen, and I told this story over the weekend. In college, I went to visit a buddy of mine and his then girlfriend, now wife. And it was Halloween, and she was dressed as a fairy. And she tripped and spilled her glitter into my backpack. When they got married years later, now I had washed this bag multiple times, like in a washing machine. But when I got off the plane to go to the beginning of like the festivities and whatnot, and I'm unpacking my bag, and there was fucking glitter, and I'm like, you glitter bombed me years ago, and it's still there.
Mm-hmm. I used to say, and then I was corrected in the most accurate way. I used to say, glitter is the herpes of the party world, but then someone was like, isn't herpes the herpes of the party world? Which is, I cannot.
It's the herpes of the craft world.
I hope everyone's ready. A cameo
yeah, there
before
he
we
is.
go. He doesn't want to be here, though. But yes. Figure out the correct frequency of your game, which can mean both players and GMs. Because look, I have a GM who's like, there was a meme that I posted specifically for him that was like, GMs will be like, thanks for the session, everyone. I really needed that. And it was just him bullying his friends for 3 hours. And that is my GM, right? That is this GM. And he's like, if I don't get to torture someone this week, someone in real life is going to die, right? This is the same GM that there was a meme that came up, and I literally read it in his voice. I heard his voice in my head as I read, throws a bag of diamonds at a beleaguered cleric. Go ahead, bring them back. This is fun.
Right. Like, kills dude, brings him back. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it was a good time, right? Places diamond, places diamond, places diamond, places diamond.
Oh.
So I have some questions.
Yes. So, you want your friends back, do you? So you can watch them die horribly again. Here's all the diamonds you want. If you're actually playing with someone that demented, and it's not a joke, don't get out of that game. That's actually a toxic
Yeah, get out of
person.
there. Yeah, that's ooh, yeah.
Maybe you're gonna be the one that slays me. After all, we're now all glitter balls.
I have not played the guitar since I got out of the hospital. But,
You need to
yeah.
fix that. You spent all that time
Yeah.
learning how to play it. You got to do that, my good sir.
right. But one of the songs that I'm learning how to play is Wonderwall, specifically for the fucking meme. So I just be like, anyway, here's Wonderwall. And then like play like 60 seconds of it and then play a song that I actually know.
I mean, look, it's on
Wonderwall is
it's
a
on
good
Brandon.
song.
It's on Brandon's playlist. Because of
Wow.
course it's on Brandon's playlist.
Yeah.
So yeah, figure out the right frequency, figure out when you do need to take a break, right? Because sometimes we broke Dame's campaign and he was like, I need
Yeah. Oh, shattered it.
He's like, I need some time to
Shattered.
figure this out. I can't do that next week, and I can't do it the week after.
Right.
Let me think about this. If there's tension, if the vibe at the table is off, talk about it. Figure it out. Like, don't just keep powering ahead without going, is everyone okay? Or you specifically, are you okay? Because, oh boy.
Cut my frog into pieces. This is my lab report. Yes, that is also on the list of songs that I was learning.
If any of y'all watched our recent video put out by B. Dave Walters, live from San Diego Comic-Con, sometimes having one frosty person at the table is a problem, and if you just get rid of them,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
campaign is great and continues on.
Actually, now I think about it, I know of 4 separate campaigns where like there was a problem person, they got rid of them, and then everything was magically better.
I know of 2, one of which you ran. I wasn't part of it, though.
Oh, yeah. We'll make that 5.
I triggered some trauma.
Oh yeah. Ooh, pain. And another thing that I don't think people talk about enough is in any creative space, whether it is painting Warhammer minis or doing tabletop or writers groups or just oh god, slam poetry. Listen, I am not one to slander a creative outlet, especially if it's writing.
Except for.
Please don't go to slam poetry readings. Just don't do it. Don't do it for you, and don't do it for me.
And yes, Rex, I hope they get everything they deserve.
The arrogance, the ego I got off of one person who wrote maybe 120 words and thought they were the most important shit on God's green earth. The way I wanted to punch that motherfucker directly in his shit. Also, don't go to a slam poetry contest when you wrote 30 pages the day before. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because you will be mad. Because some motherfucker will look at you with a straight face and be like, oh yeah, I worked on that all last year. And it's a 45-second poem. And you're like, but my guy, I wrote that in an hour yesterday. An hour. What do you mean? Anyway. But in any of these spaces, you're going to have bad actors. You're going to have people that make it about themselves. You're going to have people who backstab and stir shit up and or just fucking awful people, especially in performance art where there's an inherent focus on you as a person, like where it's no matter how you paint it, you are looking for attention. Okay, so for one, poetry, great. One of the greatest Black authors in history was a poet. My distinct problem isn't even slam poetry. It is slam poets at slam poetry who are fucking assholes. And ooh-wee, I could think of, look, I would rather go to a church bake sale with three old white ladies who have the same fucking recipe and argue about who makes the better cake than go to a slam poetry contest with motherfuckers with their just overinflated sense of no, fuck you, get out of here.
Are we gonna get to
because look,
or the darkness swallows you entirely,
right? Like the darkness encroaches, and I'm like, no, but we're gonna look, because it's not rap, and it's not song lyrics, and it's not quite regular poetry. Like slam poetry is its own thing, and it's both not quite and legitimately worse than all the other thing. Yeah, right. Everywhere you go, you will find self-inflated scenesters, no matter what the scene is.
Just watch BoJack.
Don't you get me started. Anyway, but I encourage you, if you have a bad experience in the TTRPG space, take whatever time you need to recover, but then get back in. Because even for someone who isn't necessarily like, I have to be the center of attention, there are so many ways that TTRPGs offer exploration and self-reflection and also fun. Like it is a good time to sit around a table with a couple of jokesters and crack jokes about bags of holding, and also have like a quirky little adventure as a treat. Like it's a good time. So if you have a bad experience, if you meet somebody in the community that kind of sucks, take a breath, take whatever time you need, but then try again, please. I encourage you.
It's both like advice for restarting a campaign, but also advice for like how to keep your campaign going. If something isn't clicking, like figure out Why? Adjust the story as needed, because sometimes there are various reasons things don't work, and that might be I assumed this player, this character would really like this plot point or this thing, and they don't. I had a GM decide that the best thing that would make everyone at the table happy was everyone got a corgi. I don't like dogs. I'm not going to interact with the dog. I'm not going to storm away, right? Even though I had made the boundary about I don't want dogs very early on. Other people can have dogs. Maybe you thought it would be this really cool. I had to sit down with the GM at one point and go like, hey, look, I've realized that my character and the big bad have a lot in common. I'm doing a story of found family. I don't necessarily need... I'm not looking for an arc where my character is the child of the big bad. Right? It's about the family we found along the way and finding the acceptance from people who are not blood. And now if you want to set it up so their family and they're bad and you get the redemption of like, I have found my family and I get to kill you because you're not good, cool, I'm down for that. But like, I'm not looking for, so just sit down and talk and be willing to adjust if it needs to. Small ding. A bag of holding with a bell in it is a small bag of small ding.
Bag of holding where you put clothes in it and then it comes out folded. It's a bag of holding. It pains me. It causes me great distress.
All right. We are officially over time. So I think this is where we're going to wrap up, yeah? Any other rants you got to get out, David? Oh, look at you, getting light.
Yeah, well, because I clicked on the...
I know.
But I do need to remedy my light situation now that the days are very slowly starting to get shorter.
As always, thank you, chat, for hanging out with us, for making us laugh, for distracting us with centaurs. Thank you, Lurking Rider, for 18 months. Thank you, Matt, Mimics and Misfits, for 15 months. Thank you, Zycram, for 63 months. That is absolutely wild.
Yeah, that is bananas.
So wild. Thank you all again for your questions, for being awesome. David, who the heck is you and what the heck has we been doing here?
I had something funny to say and then immediately forgot.
And then dropped it in the bag of colding?
Oh, yeah. I think mostly I'm just hungry.
I'm hungry.
But I'm David, and this has been, and will be the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
Okay, I do this every Tuesday with my bestie because I'm super lucky like that. Again, it's not yet announced, but keep an eye out at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. That is 4:30 p.m. Pacific. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern. 4:30, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11:30 p.m. British Standard Time, I think, if I can math correctly with my darn fingers. I'm going to be doing a one-shot. It's not announced yet. So I'm not going to tell you what, where, or who I'm playing, mostly because I'm still between 3 different characters as to who I'm playing. But that will be happening this week. We will be back next week with who is next week? Oh, we are back next week with Christopher Hutton, who is a professional TTRPG journalist, and we're going to have a great freaking time. I am so excited. And then after that, Friday will be the Weird Wilds War. Also, before we sign off, I want to say a very special thank you. We are at nearly 500 subscribers on YouTube. A couple weeks ago, I was having a really bad day. I was really stressed. I had to go run errands. I knew I was going to be out for a couple hours. I was like, hey, y'all, if anyone is willing, to just subscribe to our YouTube, it's free. It would really help the channel. We're like 20, 25 or 30 away from being at this number. Do you think we can like maybe get there by the end of the month? And by the time I came back, we would already passed that goal. And so just thank you all. We are inching ever closer to monetization, and that will just allow us to do more. So genuinely, thank you all. Thank you all for all of your support and for being awesome. Emergency Power Podcast will be coming back soon. Keep an eye out for more of that. I think that's what we got, David, unless you want to do one last derail.
No, it's gone. I'm sure it will come back for next week.
All right. Well, thank you all again. You are all wonderful. You are awesome. Thank you for always making our Tuesdays better. We will see you next week. Be kind to yourself. Be excellent to others. Bye, y'all.